The recently completed state legislative session included a budget that extended the Arizona Commerce Authority, an important issue for state business leaders. We talked about that extension and other aspects of the budget and the session with Danny Seiden, President and CEO of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Danny, good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Ted, thanks so much for having me on. Looking forward to today's conversation.
Well, let's start with your overall view of this latest legislative session. Thumbs up, thumbs down, what do you got?
I'm going to go thumbs sideways. There's a good, the bad, and the ugly for this session. The good is, if you remember, we always come on, myself, Todd Sanders, we talk to you about what the expectations for the session are. We were very concerned about the continuation of the Arizona Commerce Authority. It was a top priority for the business community, and they got 5 years, which is the longest continuation they've been given since their inception. It ties that, and that's great. That tells the rest of the country and world we're open for business in Arizona. We prioritize economic development. So great win on that one, friend. So that's the good. Plenty of bad and plenty of ugly in there as well, but yeah.
But as far as that good is concerned, it didn't start off all that good. There was a lot of talk about just killing the commission. How'd you go from extinction to extension?
I'll be polite and say it was a lot of education. We used the opportunity. You're right. There was a bill introduced that would have dismantled the agency and actually raised taxes on business too. So we used that opportunity to explain what the wins of the ACA have been. That over the last really 12 plus years, they have diversified our economy. They have helped create over 250,000 jobs. The total number now is like $118 billion coming into the community. So the ACA is invaluable for our state. And I think legislators were receptive of that. And, we got to a point where we got a really good bipartisan vote, a lot of support for it. And I think that should make Sandra Watson and her hardworking team feel a lot better about what they're doing.
You mentioned bipartisan vote here. What's the impact of divided government with a Democratic governor and legislative leaders on the Republican side? How difficult is that for the business community to deal with?
It's very difficult. This is our second session with divided government, second budget with divided government, and it does lead to a lot of frustrating conversations. And to be honest, what the business community does is we look at this again as an opportunity. We're nonpartisan. We have support on both sides of the aisle, but it's issue to issue now, Ted. When we want to push for, a tax issue or a tax reduction issue, we have to find the people, educate them why we really care about it. There is no one party for us anymore. We really are an island of issue by issue support, and that's very true for divided government. But if you have that good center right, center left, right there in the middle working with you, you can get a lot done still, even in this environment. I think that was just proven with this session. The budget was a little bit of an exception to that. I think the budget was handled much more at a leadership level, so some of us got left out till the end. But again, still able to get things done.
Things like 6 referrals to the ballot out of this. What do you make of that?
Well, that's just this session. You got to go back last session too. This ballot is going to be like a CVS receipt.
Yes.
It's going to be so long. I don't know how you're going to have time to get through it, but I think there's over 12 in total now.
Yes.
Now, of course, I always have to give this disclaimer. We support 2 of those. As of right now, one enshrines people's ability to get their tips. So tip workers, servers, bartenders. There's an effort moving that will take that away. We're looking to enshrine that and protect our restaurants and diners. The other is an effort really around property tax. And if you are a private business or a private small business owner and the city, the local government's not responding to your nuisance complaints, people coming on, squatters, people abusing things, they're going to get a refund from their property tax now.
Okay, that's the couple that you support, and we'll be going through these as we get closer to election day.
Happy to talk more about those.
But there's another one that allows law enforcement to detain those who've illegally crossed the border. We're going back to 1070 kind of concerns. Not exactly, but we're still in the ballpark. We're in the area code. Business community thinks about this what?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this, again, big topic. This is the number one issue on every poll. You were talking about polls on yesterday's show. This is the number one topic on every poll right now is illegal immigration and the impact to our communities. It's not an abstract thing. We're all seeing it. We're all feeling it. The fentanyl crisis is there. So you're talking about what was HCR 2060. And from what it was introduced as to what passed, we're a lot better off than we were when it started. We worked really hard to get all the DACA recipients out of there, Ted, something the Chamber feels very passionate about, or, that population. Do we love it as a policy? No, we don't think you should legislate at the ballot box and tie the state's hands for funding of jails and mandatory holds and things like that. But it is really narrow. It is very much, it's not 1070. There's not going to be boycotts. We are better than that, and this is going to be a much better piece of legislation.
I was going to say narrow enough to keep businesses from saying we're hearing bad things. People are looking at Arizona with a stink eye.
So this is predicated on the constitutionality of a Texas measure called SB4.
Yes.
And Texas had zero repercussions for the passage of that. There's no reason why our businesses should view it that way. Now, we are an open state. We're a state for opportunity for all. We have a very diverse economy. All those populations really matter to us. So we'll watch it closely. But to be honest, again, this is falling on the federal government and their failure to secure our border.
ESAs, a big issue at the Capitol, a big issue for Democrats, certainly, a big issue to leave alone for Republicans. A little bit of thing, very small guardrail pass through here. Is it time to? It's costing a lot of money, Danny. And I know the Republican side, you can't touch it. It's the third rail. But is it time to look at some kind of means testing, some kind of cap, something to control this? Because you're getting a lot of pushback from a lot of folks.
You really are, but you're also getting that pushback because it's a very popular program. A lot of parents are using this. Now, you're right, they put a guardrail on around how that money is spent during summer months, which will help with the budget impact and cut down on abuse. But if you were, and the Chamber hasn't had a position on ESAs, to be clear, but if you're a believer in ESAs, you should want guardrails. You should want protections around. You should want transparency, because what you're saying is this is about parents being able to have the money to send their kids to the school that best suits them and not be trapped by zip codes. And I think that that's a noble cause, but you got to have some transparency and some guardrails. Otherwise, it's going to collapse on its own, under its own weight.
Well, and that's the concern. The concern that all this is going to go away for absolutely nothing. Before you go here, we're running out of time. There's so much to talk about
let's keep
here.
going,
The idea that the Chamber comes out with endorsements, and you came out with your endorsements, and I did not see any. I'm still looking. I don't see any Freedom Caucus members on there. If there is one, I missed it. What goes on?
I don't know who's in the Freedom Caucus and who's not in the Freedom Caucus. How our endorsements work, just so everyone understands the process. We have a massive board. We represent every major employer, minor entrepreneur in the state, and they are all on our board, and you have to hit a 65% threshold to get our endorsement. So people come by, they interview, and you review their body of work. It was a very bipartisan endorsement list, but there's some very conservative people on there. President Warren Peterson's on there. I think he would say he's very Freedom Caucus adjacent. So I don't want to speak for any of them, but even in the Freedom Caucus, they vote 60%-ish with the business community as well. But to get our endorsement, we expect more. We expect you to listen. We expect you to listen to our concerns. You don't have to agree with us, but take the meeting. Hear what we have to say. We employ people in their district. We employ really just about everyone in the whole state is who we represent. So we're saying, hey, these are your constituents. These are their concerns. Don't destroy the economy. Don't let it be collateral damage for some political war you're waging.
Well, just so you know, that those endorsements raised a few eyebrows, as I'm sure you're well aware, and we had to ask about it. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We
Anytime,
appreciate it.
Ted. I look forward to talking about initiatives later this summer.
Oh, yeah.